no handhold here like in the Transit. Makes it a little harder to get in. This is a Sprinter 2500. 2011's badges are Freightliner. They're all the same. It didn't come with a backup camera, so I added one. Turn it on. There it is. I'll leave it off. That also turns the radio on and off, so I can park it and listen to the radio without it shutting off. HVAC controls are funny. They're kind of digital. Car actually drives pretty darn good because the wheels are in the corners, so it's pretty nimble actually for how big it is. You don't really feel that size so much. This has got the V6 with, I think, 5-speed, which you can supposedly shift gears here, but I've never really done it. Funky German controls, at least I'm coming from Japanese cars. Well, actually, even my Volkswagen that I just got doesn't have this weird stick. Oh, whatever. I don't know. It works. Lights down here. That's pretty German. I don't know. I'm used to having some sort of stock here, but there isn't one. What else can I say? There's a rear view mirror, but you can't actually see anything because there are no windows in this one. This is the crew van, so it has one row of seating behind it, which is pretty helpful. That also comes with windows on the side at least. Oh, and I need to go get gas. That's great. Let's go on the freeway. You may see Sprinter drivers driving kind of crazy. That's because this car actually, it's not, I can't say it's fast. It's only got like 180 horsepower, although tons of torque. But like I said, it doesn't feel as big as it is. So, kind of used to driving a little nuts. And actually the gas mileage is pretty steady no matter how I drive it. One thing I don't get, in the Transit, the mirrors are more split, so the bottom one, this wide angle kind of, is much bigger. And I find that mirror much more useful than this one. In fact, I hardly ever use that one. So that always makes me scratch my head. Welcome to Bay Area traffic. I don't even know where I'm going. I'm actually going to a meeting and probably selling this car right after, so wanted to get that virtual test drive so I remember what this was like. Now the inside, there's some squeaking coming right now in the back. I was cleaning and that wasn't there right before I was cleaning, so I must have shifted something. In any case, God, that squeaking's annoying. Ride is pretty good. Actually, this car rides, I think, much better with weight in the rear. Right now it's totally empty, and it's fine, but it's better with stuff in it. And you can't feel the weight again. Whereas actually with the Transit, when it's loaded up, I can tell it's now a heavier car. Got to be a bit more careful. This thing has always been mostly the same. A lot of storage up here. The thing I don't like with this storage is the fact there's so much. It tended just to get cluttered. And cup holders. Guys, what's going on here? Where are the cup holders? Well, there's a crummy one or two, I don't know. Nothing ever fits in the small one. There's like two little crummy ones here. They're so shallow that you put stuff in there, it just falls over. Likewise, there's a really shallow one here, but the one time I actually put something in here, it just fell right over and spilled on all the papers that I had in here, receipts mostly. It made a giant mess. This car is feels noisier than the Transit on the freeway. And maybe just because this is essentially a cargo van, although it's got one row of passenger seating. I've never driven the passenger van, so I can't say that. That may be quieter. I have a transit passenger van, and there are a few things actually though that make that transit quieter. Like I noticed, I actually had all the headliner and everything off, and I noticed that there's no big open panels in the transit. Like there's always a little rib or something everywhere, and so you don't get these big surfaces that turn into like a cymbal, almost like a drum cymbal, when something hits them. So it doesn't reverberate as much, and it doesn't need sound deadening really to be quieter, because it just doesn't sound like a file cabinet. This I had to sound deaden quite a bit. I put about 70% coverage of asphalt matte everywhere except the firewall and the floor, which probably would have cut down on road noise, but such is life. I didn't do that. The top speed on the gauge here is 120, but these are actually electronically governed to, I believe, 85 miles an hour, which is really probably as fast as you'd want to go on this thing. I always thought the brakes were a little slightly vague. I mean, they're not bad, but especially towards the end, like when I come into a full stop after being at speed, that last little bit always feels kind of vague. It's not super crisp. And I feel like this thing can get going faster than it can stop. I don't know, I just get that sensation that it's more capable at accelerating than decelerating. These seats are not amazing. These are actually the manual ones. There's captain's chairs and so on. But actually I find them pretty comfy. They're basic, but they've actually held up really well. My transit seats, after 10,000 miles, the cloth is wearing already, and I can tell I got a seat cover on it, because I can tell it's not going to last another 20,000 without looking really rough, which I think is pretty sad. This car has 21,000 miles, and these seats are, other than some dirt I got on them, they're perfectly fine. Also, the armrests are they're not substantial, but the ones in the transit are just flimsy. I mean, they're garbage. I don't actually use armrests, so that's not too much of a problem, but other people who have driven this do. What else we got going? Oh, these little holes in the storage. The transit actually had that in the first year, but then they got rid of it because stuff falls through. They were bigger on the transit, so it was more of an issue, like pens and so on. Some glasses storage here, what else? Stock stereo was garbage, absolute rubbish. Speakers in the doors, I couldn't have cost more than like a dime to make. I mean, the magnets, I've seen bigger PC speakers, like, so that got replaced pretty quick. There's no steering wheel controls here on this one, so integration was straightforward. This is a pretty flat panel. On the Transit, it's very sculpted, and so I don't know what a dash kit for that looks like, but I'm imagining it's not much fun. I have the nav system in the Transit, so I can't really rip it out. I had to add an aftermarket amplifier and so on to... Actually, on the Transit and on this one, I mean, vans aren't really supposed to have amazing stereo systems, but this one, on the freeway, you could turn the volume up all the way, and something like NPR, you wouldn't be able to hear it. It was that underpowered. This works fine. And this is just a Pioneer aftermarket head unit. It was like $100. The HVAC controls kind of drive me nuts. I like the temperature, actually, kind of, that it's a knob. But then to get more or less blower, it's a button. And that I would prefer to be a knob, versus this, which sets where the air is coming from, and I don't even know what the heck that means to this day. I've had this van for years. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Maybe closed? I don't know. there's this little clip, which is useless for me. I'd much prefer if the fan control was a knob. Speaking of cup holders, there is actually a set of cup holders built into the seat, and that is kind of handy. The Transit doesn't have that. But the Transit has cup holders built into the plastics along the wall going back, unless you have the cargo van. So at least one person per row can have a drink. Everybody else, they're gonna have to hold it. I actually don't know where I'm going. Please don't tell on me. Well, speaking of cell phone use, one cool thing, the view from up here in the Sprinter is awesome. You can, I feel like I'm in a control tower, all this glass, and I'm looking down. And the really scary thing is that, like, rush hour, I can see that about 1 in 4 people are on their cell phones doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And it's terrifying because they're going, you know, 50 miles an hour in traffic. Let's see if a Cortana will. Stanford Hospital. Because I'm selling this car, I deleted the Bluetooth from here, so, and I don't have my phone holder. Give me directions, Cortana. And I am probably the last Windows Phone user on Earth, but what can I say? Gonna get off at Willow Road, okay. It's coming up. One other thing about the performance in this, I feel like it drives a bit more like a truck than a car. The Transit drives kind of like a car, although a very gigantic one. And one of the things about that is I feel like it feels sketchier coming around turns, like say in the mountains, but it isn't. Like, I've never had it lose grip or anything. It's just a sensation. Probably might have to do with being so high up that when you come around a turn, the thing just kind of leans a bit. And you really sense that, whereas in the Transit you're actually down lower to the ground, and maybe the roof pitches, but since you're close to the ground, it's not so noticeable. Like right now, I mean, it's composed, but I feel it more. Also, this seems to nosedive a bit more under heavy braking. That's just something I noticed by like leaving stuff on the seat, actually. If I slam on the brakes, or even just slow down hard, stuff falls off the seats in this car, and it doesn't in the Transit. Which is pretty irritating, actually, when you have, you know, you put your backpack, say I do, on my seat here, and then just goes tumbling down. Which is why it's on the floor now, but already. This, one other advantage of having this great view is parking. This is the 144-inch, the short, high roof, and it takes some getting used to, but I found that I could pretty much fit in all of the stuff that my normal pickup truck previously would have fit in. Obviously, it was a little smaller, but like, it'll fit. You go to the grocery store, I can park this in the front row at the grocery store without too much trouble. It's really easy to back up. If I lower down the windows, it's so easy to stick my head out and maneuver into tight places. I'm actually about 20 miles from San Francisco, and I've taken it to the San Francisco and parked it there. It's a bit more of a chore than a normal car, but it's doable. I don't get that feeling with the Transit, which is really well, there's a Dodge ProMaster, but I haven't driven one. To me, it's the competition between these is, I and that's pretty much it. So, what else?
After 0.2 miles, turn left onto Middlefield Road.
This is a 2011, and the headlights, the fancy ones, were an option at that point in time, which I did not get. This was just off the lot. And I do notice that they're not as great as having the xenon ones or whatever now, but they were better than my pickup, so I didn't care. Come on, people. I know I'm going to a parking garage, which I won't be able to get into, not with a high roof. Right here, the van just kind of leaned over a bit, and it's disconcerting, although it just drives just fine. Hey, look, there's another Sprinter. I do worry sometimes about hitting trees, however, and I do sometimes hit trees. Branches. We are now in Palo Alto, Tesla heaven. Another one. Well, I apologize for the squeaking, at least. I'm gonna fix that. Alright, I'm going down left on High Street. What's this guy want to do? Nothing, just sit there, right? This backup camera is aftermarket, and it's actually not terrible running the wiring, just because the interior is mostly exposed. I ran it actually up through here. There's an airbag down in here, by the way, and then through the headliner all the way to the rear, and then
0.2 miles. Turn left onto High Street.
Right above the there's actually a plastic thing that holds the license plate, and it's got a big bezel around it, and I was able to just drill a hole and silicone it through that bezel to get it out the back. Oh, somebody's getting a parking ticket over there. I think this is my left. Wait, this is Lytton. Wrong road. One other thing, I have a long transit, and there's, not here, but in other places there's diagonal parking, and it's too long to park in the diagonal spots. It overhangs into the road.
Turn right.
Which is a bummer. Because in fact, where I live, it's all diagonal parking. So, so I can't park downtown. Should I expect to park downtown in a 23-foot long van? Well, this is a 19.5-foot long van, and it worked out in this one always, so. Vertical clearance, good. I'm good. Some of these aren't tall enough, and I've definitely caught myself at the last moment a few times. Pretty freaky when you realize you almost just shaved off They're usually 8'6", and I think this is 9 feet, so yeah, it would mean shaving off 4 inches off the top. I like convertibles, but not when they're a van. The only two windows that roll up and down are these. This one has an automatic down, but no automatic up. This one goes automatic down too, but also not automatic up. I guess that's fine. That squeaking, if you can hear it, is a piece of insulation. I had cabinets in the back, but I disassembled them for the sale, and they were kind of holding in some of that insulation, and now, after wiping it clean, it's squeaking. So no, that's not a normal sound. Oh, I'm not turning right. I think, no. In fact, I can maybe eyeball what's making that noise. This mirror cracks me up. I can't actually turn it enough to really see what's going on in the back seat. It's there, but I mean, there's no windows. There never were. There never will be, probably. I had to add Bluetooth. This thing came loose. Come on, stay. What else? The battery is under the floor here. It's actually not too bad to get to. Oh, I love the rubber floor. The rubber floor is great if you're an outdoorsy person because you can just mop it. Carpet is so hard to clean. We're almost there.
After 0.2 miles, turn right on Campus Drive West.
What else? Campus Drive West to the right. Oh, I see the blue hospital sign. You said it at the last minute. There, I felt it pitching forward a little right now. Not terribly. Not really. I'm overstating it. This thing's pretty awesome.
After a quarter of a mile, turn right on Quarry Road.
Oh, turn right. This thing actually pulls from a stop great. I mean,
After 0.1 miles, turn right on Quarry
if you have any load, it'll just go sliding backwards. Up on the freeway there, when I was trying to accelerate, it doesn't feel so powerful. I have the Transit I have is the twin turbo EcoBoost engine, and that thing just has tons of power. And 350 horsepower versus this thing's 180. So this is the San Francisco Bay Area, and people drive pretty aggressively. And I found that this was a little too slow to merge on into traffic sometimes on the freeway, because you're going from like 0, you got to get to 60. Like, nobody will slow down to let you in. I mean, forget about that. Where am I going? Now we can watch. So that's the garage, and I can't go in there. And I don't want to go to the emergency department. I don't know. Parking search.
Then you'll arrive at your destination.
Well, I have arrived at the destination, but there's nowhere for me to park. All right. Turning circle is actually decent on this thing. This guy's like, why does he have a camera strapped to his head? Don't judge me. Gonna bet there's parking back out there.
Turn right and then immediately turn right.
Yeah, you know what? Be quiet. All right. know, watching somebody park one of these in a tight spot, it's kind of entertaining. Oh man, looks like that's just gonna dump me right out. Oh boy, is that parking? It looks like it. Oh, how do I get in? Welch Road.